Welcome everyone to this Azami Global online webinar. For any of you who have missed our previous webinars where we covered a number of topics such as IP recordals, rush cases, one and dones, you can find them on our website, azamiglobal.com, and stay updated for upcoming webinars and other exciting events. I'm here today with Chaim Steppelman, head of searches at Azami Global. Chaim has a degree in mechanical engineering from Columbia University in New York and is a registered patent attorney. He has focused his practice on searches for the last 15 years. Chaim has personally performed thousands of searches, and more importantly for our discussion, he has created tools and systems that allow for high-quality patent searches. Chaim runs the patent search department for Azami Global, the world's largest collaborative network of IP professionals, where the network works together to improve the experience of the IP lifecycle. I'm Ariel Davis, CPO at Azami, and I'm excited to talk to Chaim today about the ingredients of a high-quality patent search. Hello, Chaim.
Hi, Ariel, and thanks everyone for joining. Okay, so today I'd like to talk about a topic which is a bit of an elephant in the room, and that is, how do you define a quality patent search? And it's an elephant in the room because no one really asks this question about patent searches. The reason is that when it comes to a good patent search, the general sense is that you'll know it when you see it, but you can't really define it. And of course, when you're looking for a service and trying to weigh your options, that's not good. So what typically ends up happening is that once a patent lawyer or an IP manager or whoever has a need for patent searches develops an initial relationship with a patent search provider who seems to be good, they figure, well, what's the difference what went into providing those results as long as they're good? It's sort of like a black box where you just put in the invention description and out comes a patent search and you have no idea what just happened. So what I want to look at today is how can you figure out whether you're getting the high quality patent search that you think you're getting, or if you're looking for a patent search provider, what to look for from the outset so that you can feel comfortable that you'll be getting the type of results you want. And the answer to both of these is, as we'll see, really one and the same. So starting with the problem, there are scores and scores of, I don't know how many patent search providers out there. And leaving aside the industry-wide belief that patent searches performed in a certain part of the world are in general of lower quality, and instead focusing on the many search providers who are believed to perform good searches, still the bottom line is that patent searches are seen as sort of a commodity, in that ultimately there's no real difference whether search provider X performs a search for me or search provider Y. I mean, of course, people realize that they might not get the same exact results from different searchers, but as a whole, they see patent searchers as interchangeable, and the question is why. So I've identified what I believe to be the three fundamental problems with the patent search industry as a service that can put all of this in context. Okay, let's go through each one by one. So number one is that there are no industry standards. And this goes for all aspects of the service. First of all, in terms of the background of the searcher, there are professionals with bachelor's degrees, others with masters, some with PhDs. Some have years of experience searching IP specifically, and others are simply experts in data analysis who are now searching for prior art. And without getting into the role of all the AI search tools out there, traditional patent searches are still the result of human input. And the education, training, and technical experience of people performing searches is so diverse that you'll almost certainly get different results from different searchers. Next is that the search report itself is something that varies from search provider to search provider. So you have one search report that might include things like full search queries and an outline of the thought process that went into the search strategy, while a second search report might feature other elements like citations of text from the references or relevant images from the prior art, which might not be something found in the first search report. And to make matters worse, when it comes to the cost of searches, there's no standard or even a close range of standard costs for similar patent search types. For example, patentability searches can range from like $300 to $3,000.
Wow, for the same search?
For the exact same search. And it's not like the difference is that the top price searches are because they're sitting in fancy offices in the heart of New York City or wherever. It really just comes down to what the market is in different parts of the world and what their clients are willing to pay. So the first reason why it's so difficult to quantify what a quality search is or a search report is that the market itself doesn't have clarity about what it is or where it comes from. Number two is that the amount of published prior art publicly available today is immeasurable. That makes it effectively impossible to be certain that any patent search is complete because there'll always be more prior art out there that wasn't reached. It would be one thing if there was some sort of repository to search through that had all the publications that have ever been published since the dawn of time. But of course, even that's not the case. So when it comes to searching just patent documents alone, within each technology, there could be easily many tens of thousands of documents that need to be filtered. And then there's also non-patent literature that exists in so many forms and formats. Like you have scholarly articles and journals, you have trade publications, libraries, newspapers, and many of these things will simply not be accessed during the search. And of course, searching the internet is basically like looking for a needle in a haystack, so no one is spending time looking through millions of websites in a patent search. And the third problem with the search industry is that there are lots of search engines out there for patent searches, both free and subscription-based. So what's the problem with that? The problem is, and this is the thing that many people don't realize, is that if you create a search query and put it in one search engine, the results that you'll get will most likely be different from what you'll get from another search engine, which is a bit crazy if you think about it. So searching using the same keywords and search terms will give you a different set of results. And the reason is that search engines have different algorithms, they give different weights to different search fields, and they might even have different sources of their data. But the point is that at the end of the day, many unknowns still remain after the search is done. So where does that leave us? What can be done to figure out whether your patent search provider is providing you with high quality searches? So one common school of thought is to say, well, we're getting good results from our search provider, so it must be a quality search. But there are real problems with that approach. First of all, we want to know beforehand whether we'll be getting a high quality search, and looking at the search report is after the fact. Also, are there better results? The results that you got might be good, but a better search might yield better results. And I like to say that, like the stock market, past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that just because your search provider has given you good results in the past doesn't mean that he always will. Another approach is to say that if we compare search results with different search providers, we can see which one is better. But that's not practical because who has time for that? And also, maybe one search provider will be better with one technology and another would be better with a different technology. And even within search companies themselves, it won't necessarily be the same searcher who will be performing all of your searches in all technologies. So a simple comparison is not a good metric either. But probably the most common approach is what I mentioned at the outset, and that is that most people think that we just can't know whether a search is truly high quality. But the question is that true? So I've been talking all this time about quality searches, but really we need to define this term, or maybe to redefine the term, because most likely what people think about when we're discussing this topic is the search report and how relevant are the results, or what value does the search report provide. What I want to do is shift focus from the search report to the service provider. Meaning, instead of asking whether this is a high quality search report, which again might be a chance discovery of relevant prior art, or even if it's happened many times, so ask what was the method used to generate the search report? And is it a repeatable process that can be expected to identify relevant prior art each and every time? In other words, that black box that I spoke about in the beginning, where you just feed in your invention disclosure and out comes a search report, that's where the solution lies. So what I'm saying is, don't look at the results, look at the process, look at the technique, look at the behind the scenes of the search. Or putting it differently, I would say it's wrong to argue that your patent search provider is valuable just because they provide you with good results. So my definition is a high quality patent search is one that was performed by a repeatable process that enables identifying relevant prior art each time. And that's the definition that we at Azami used when putting together our patent search team. And we found that our clients are very happy with our service because of that approach. Okay, so it's very nice that we now have this definition, and we know what a high quality search is, but practically speaking, how do we do it? How do we generate such a search? The answer is that there are three ingredients that, when mixed together, produce the perfect patent search. Number one is who's performing the search. The search team must be made up of people who have had professional training how to search for prior art. That means former patent examiners or patent search specialists like the STIC specialists at the USPTO, for those who are familiar, but it could be also other professionals who have gone through a patent search training program. Also, it's true that ultimately anyone with an understanding of an invention or of the technology and access to a search engine can perform a patent search, but to really understand the technique and methodology behind how to search, professional training, specifically in IP searching, is critical. Second, and maybe even more important, is the search process itself. As I mentioned, traditional prior art searching is performed by people, not robots, and human error is only natural. And just to put it out there, it's important to understand that there's currently no AI search tool that has been developed that honestly claims to be a full replacement patent search tool with no need for human input. So it's imperative to reduce the potential for human error as much as possible. The way to do this is by using a collaborative approach when performing patent searches. The more people involved, the less likely that a relevant keyword or classification will be overlooked. Additionally, there should be a methodological approach to the search. For instance, performing first a keyword-only search, and then performing a classification-only search, and then combining them. Because if it's always a mixed bag of keywords and classifications, then the filtering process will be much less efficient. Also, the process must include a system for quality control. That means reviews of both the search strategy and the search terms, and reviews of the results at different stages of the search. All those are critical to ensure that the search is on target. Finally, the third ingredient is that multiple databases should be used. As I said earlier, different search engines will produce different results using the same search string. And that's because different search engines don't have the same search capabilities. They may have different search features, different algorithms, etc. So if only one search engine is used, it will almost certainly be incomplete. And of course, patent databases are just one part of the equation. Patent searches should be supplemented with searches for non-patent literature as well, in order to provide a rounded picture of the prior art. Okay, so there you have it. To sum it up, I would say that contrary to popular belief, there is a way to define a high-quality patent search. Find out who does your searches and how much IP search experience they have. Make sure that more than one set of eyes is going through the search strategies. And finally, if non-patent literature is important to you, be sure that your search provider is searching through multiple databases that include all forms of publications of interest. The bottom line is that with professionally trained IP searchers, using a quality assurance process and covering the relevant databases, you can be sure that you'll be getting a high-quality patent search. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chaim. That was very informative. It definitely gave me a new way to look at patent searches, because certainly as someone who was a consumer of patent searches, I was looking at the industry exactly the way you described. You know, kind of looking at the results, using past performance as an indicator. And so I certainly appreciate the way that you broke it down. We have a couple of questions actually that have come in from the audience prior to the show, and some of them actually relate to the issues you discussed. I want to start with a question that I think goes to the heart of this discussion, which is, what is the danger of a low quality search? What's the worst case if someone performs a bad search, or if a bad search is performed, not in the manner that you described? What's kind of a worst case scenario for the client?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and as you said, it really cuts into the heart of the issue. So I would say that first of all, in all cases, the obvious drawback of a low quality search is that they could directly result in a waste of both time and money. So depending on the type of search, though, that'll determine how much time and how much money will be wasted. As an example, I would say when it comes to patent searches or patentability searches, rather. As an example, when it comes to patentability searches, where we want to assess patentability before filing the patent application or even before drafting the application, when it comes to a low quality search, you can end up with a detailed description that didn't focus on the right aspects of the invention, or you could have a claim set that define an invention that's not patentable. It could be that the examiner might find relevant prior art that could lead to a rejection of the application, and that prior art could have been known beforehand had a search been performed properly. When it comes to something like an invalidity search, where we want to invalidate a competitor's patent or maybe prevent a patent application from being issued, these are business critical searches that, if done correctly, could avoid things like a costly lawsuit, or it could avoid shutting down a whole product line. And if done not correctly, it could end up ruining a business. You have searches like, let's say, freedom to operate or landscape searches, which those are interested in things like business strategy, competitive intelligence. Um, Without a high quality search, you risk making wrong decisions that could negatively affect things like the direction of a company's R&D or their entire IP portfolio strategy.
Got it. Thank you for that. I want to go back to the fact that you mentioned AI and how AI, at least currently, there is no solution on the market that uses only AI. So where does AI fit in the patent search process?
Yeah, AI is definitely a hot topic in general, maybe even a bit controversial, and it's really no different when it comes to patent searches. There are quite a few players in the AI patent search space who are trying to develop search tools that can be entirely self-sufficient and replace the need for human interaction. And in doing so, remove all of the potential for human error, which I spoke about earlier. But as I mentioned, we really aren't there yet. So while there are AI search engines that use things like semantic searches or natural language processing or citation searching, there's still a feeling in the industry that there still needs to be a person to run traditional Boolean search strings. So by adding an AI tool to the process, it will really add time to the search process, which makes it, ironically, less efficient. So while we aren't there yet, my personal feeling is that it's just a matter of time and maybe a little bit more of advancements in AI technology before we can get to a point where a professional searcher will feel comfortable relying solely on an AI tool.
Thank you for that. Here we have a question from someone that asked about a specific certification. You spoke about the importance of professional training for patent searchers. Can you mention how is QPIP certification viewed in the industry? Maybe just tell us what that is, and then how it affects the industry.
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so first of all, QPIP stands for Qualified Patent Information Professional, which is an accreditation that's given by a relatively new organization that was founded in something like 2018 or 2019, not long ago. And they had the goal of creating professional standards in the patent search industry. It's actually an attempt to solve at least part of the problem that we're talking about today. Basically, candidates for this certification they take an exam. I think it's a 2-day exam. It includes patent search theory, a number of case studies. I know that they need a certain number of years of work experience before they can get certified. So I would say that having QPIP certification has not yet taken off, and many professionals in the IP industry aren't even familiar with the concept. But again, it's a relatively new idea, so it might take some time. And possibly in the future, it will become some sort of industry standard for your patent search provider to have gone through that exam. But that's something that remains to be seen.
Okay, that sounds great. So I do hope that everyone has enjoyed the webinar. That's kind of all the time we have for questions now. But I hope that the audience, and certainly I do, has a bit more of a sense of what makes up higher quality patent searches. We're, of course, happy to discuss any questions or issues that arise, anything that we didn't get to. You can be in touch with Chaim directly at searches@azamiglobal.com. Or you can be in touch with us more generally at info@azamiglobal.com. We'd be happy to answer any questions or any issues that come up. And I hope everyone has a great day.